Okay guys, just earlier last week I did a review of this knife. This is the HX Outdoors, what's the model? ZD023B. ZD023B, the ZD023A is a tanto tip. And I gave this thing a pretty good review, except for the detent was too weak. Well, I figured out what the problem was with the detent, and I mentioned it in the video. The detent ball wasn't falling completely into the detent hole. So the alignment was just a little bit off. I decided I was going to try to fix it because you've got a pretty decent knife. I've already fixed it. You see that? It works just great. Doesn't take an awful lot of pressure. Just see that? It flips now because the detent is holding it until there's enough pressure on that flipper. Before I had to do this, I had to do some to make it go. I could get it to go sometimes if I tried really hard to go really fast backwards like that. Light switch method, but now it's just little. And it opens. There's barely any pressure, and it opens, and certainly more pressure, and it opens just fine. Also, when I go to close it, it sucks it in. Beautiful. I'll put this on the tabletop, and I'll show you some footage of how I fixed it. There's not enough lighting on that video of how I fixed it, but loud enough lighting for me to see what I was doing. But unfortunately, cameras take more lighting than humans need, and I just didn't have that much lighting in that space doing it in my utility laundry room. So let's take a look at how I fix this. It's rather dark in here, but I'm working on this knife, and this is the knife that has that detent problem. The detent ball was not getting all the way into the detent hole. It was stopping shy of it, and you can see the little line here, and maybe like that. You can see the hole right there. So that detent hole, the ball would come right to the edge of it and not quite drop in, so I got to make it just a tiny bit larger. The detent is just a little bit off. The detent ball, I think, is not sitting exactly in the hole. It's just sitting right at the edge of the hole. There's a hole on the side of the blade that the detent ball, which is on this lock bar tab, sits in. And that keeps it from opening easily. If you can see, I'm just grabbing right here. I shouldn't be able to easily pull this out. Of course, the leverage from up here, yes, but not right here. How can I tell when I'm looking at the knife like this? The lock bar arm, this arm right here with the jimping on, should sit right flat against this piece of steel to tangle the blade. You see that little bit of space there? You can see a little bit of light right through that little line right there. And if it was sitting totally in that hole, there would be no light. That lock bar arm would be right in there. That's what tells me that the detent isn't all the way in to the hole right there. How do you fix that? Well, I'll show you on a video. At least I'll attempt to show you on a video when I attempt to fix it. So I was thinking drill bit. No, this is hardened steel. Maybe not the best idea. So I've got these, part of my Dremel kit. And these are little grinding wheels. There's little diamond tips on them, or diamond dust, or maybe not even that, just something of a grind. And so what I'm going to try to do is put it right in it and make that hole just a little bit bigger so the detent ball drops in. So what I have to do is make a tiny change, put the knife back together and test it. And if I need to do some more, make a tiny change, test it. And keep doing that over and over until I get it done. So this little bit here just barely fits in there. So that's the perfect spot to start with. So I want to clamp it on here so that it doesn't move on me while I'm working. It's not that big a deal. It's just a little shaky, no big deal. I just got to get that in there. So put this in here. I've got a no-name brand Dremel alternative. This one's made for Canadian Tire. Relatively low torque, cheap piece of garbage, but that's okay. It's going to do the job, and it's going to do a pretty good job, I think. So let me see. I got some light here. I need just a little bit more light. Hold on. There we go. From this side, it works a little bit better, I think. Is it recording? Yeah, it is, because I got one shot at this. So that's it. That's just the tiny change. Now I need to test it. I'm going to go upstairs and put it in my knife and see how it goes. So the set of tools that I used for this, I'll show you pictures of it. If you're in Canada, I'll put some links to where you can buy them in Canadian Tire. This time of year, they're going to go on sale, those tools, like crazy. So if you are a knife collector, and especially if you like budget knives, because budget knives often have small imperfections that you need to work out. Some more expensive knives sometimes do too. So it's good to get something like that. Now watch this. I'm going to hold this here. Let me get the focus adjusted. And watch now how this sucks it in, just because the detent ball gets put right into the hole on the blade. That didn't happen before because the ball wouldn't get into the hole. I just have to close it by pushing it all the way. I didn't record that. I should have recorded some footage of doing that beforehand, but that's great. So now it's locked up. It's not going to open easily in the pocket unless you want it to. And then when you want to open it, it opens. Very gently you can open it. And certainly, you can push harder and have it fly out. Love this knife even more than I did before. So there you go. That's all it took. So if you're a knife collector, I encourage you to try your hand at becoming a little handy on your maintenance. First off, get the best sharpening system you can afford, and then maybe get some other tools to do some maintenance. So here's some of the basic tools I used in this video. This is a Mastercraft kit. That's a brand of our Canadian Tire stores here in Canada. It's a big hardware automotive, sporting goods / all kinds of stuff store. This is just a Dremel kit. Dremel's a brand name, so it's those high-speed rotating tool kits. And it's just got a little bit of everything in there. You've got discs, grinding wheels, stones, flapper pads, drill bits, file bits, wire brushes, cut-off wheels, sanding drums, whatever. And then a system like this, of course, I do recommend a brand name of Dremel. If you can afford it, get the best you can. But I just got this cheap one here, and it works just fine. And I've shown this on a number of my videos. I got this thing at GearBest. You can get it at Amazon, all kinds of places. Just a clamp system. You can get the kind that you can clamp onto a table or whatever, just to hold your knives every once in a while, especially when you've got knives that have free spinning pivots and you have to put a screwdriver on either side. You hold the knife in the clamp, and then you can attack the screws on both sides at the same time without causing injury to yourself or damage to your knife. So there you go. So guys, I thank you so much for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Patreon supporters, you guys are the best. I really appreciate what you do for me. And remember, everybody, cut towards your chum, not your thumb.